The recording has started.
Rather than sit against the wall.
Hearing suddenly stop. There.
Kind of bizarre.
I am recording, so everybody be aware, we are recording. So now your cyclones are being recorded. All right, back to, let me pull up the screen we were looking at. Where did we go? Okay, so that's kind of our getting started. What I've done is I took out the agenda that was sent out by email and took out some of the words there to make it fit on one page. So what you see in front of you is exactly the same agenda. I've taken some of the details that were there and I created different slides for it. So all the material is still there. It's just that we can track ourselves against where we are and what we're talking about to cover the material. So there we go. Okay, so now we wanted to give a little bit of time to about 10 minutes or 7 minutes if you want to recover some time, talking about some of the activities and report out on what has been done to kind of level set about a little bit of the history. It doesn't have to be very detailed because you're all aware of what you've done, but it kind of sets the stage for communicating for the next steps and where we want to go. Right, so I don't know if you had a thought in terms of who would go first. These are the kinds of things that you can cover, main focus of the committee, major achievements, and then what needs better coverage if you want to identify some areas of improvement. Sandy, if you want.
Okay, so there's been a charter for a committee called Member and Volunteer Committee since 1921. And primarily the purpose of this, the mission for this committee has always been to oversee and helping recruit and the ongoing care of our members and our volunteers. So it's what, like a personnel committee, and that's where for a while trying to think of a label for it, and I still don't have one that explains really what we do. It's like an HR for volunteers. It's where we're concerned about the ongoing practices as well as making sure that we're legally compliant and that we support everything from recruitment through onboarding, ongoing help, and ongoing activities of the volunteers and the members as individuals. So what we're looking at, and a typical meeting would be one where when we come in, we have a list of members whom we have not seen have any services for an extended period of time. And then we'll go through the list and say, okay, I'll call this person, I'll call that person. So it'll be a check-in based on the fact that they're not active. And we also have a lot of information about them. So some people are never active, they don't ever have any activities, but we don't offer Darcy to find out why she hasn't been using our services. So it's, it's also based on what we know. And we do have a fair number of members who really want to be members to support us, but are not yet at a place where they need services or they only need one every half year. So the idea is just making it at the monthly level is just check-ins for individuals. Primarily, we've been focused on members. We've had a manager of volunteer services since this committee got formed, actually probably at the same time. So a lot of the care and feeding for the volunteers has fallen on that manager. But we could see going forward being more routinized and helpful to the manager of volunteers as well as the member, the director of membership director. So that's basically what it is. This year, our achievements have focused a lot on volunteers. with great ideas coming from you guys, Susie and folks on how we celebrate our 7th, acknowledge our 7 years, and volunteer spotlight in the newsletter, volunteer drawings, and so on. And then what we're currently working on are the surveys to volunteers and to members. So that's part of the ongoing assessment of where we are. So the committee has really 2 functions. One is overarching, looking to the future, planning, and another one is the ongoing day-to-day, month-to-month activities of making sure individuals are being well taken care of. Where we've slowed down on some of that is it partially due to the fact that I think we have not sufficiently divided out what we do from what really belongs in what we call services. So that's part of the reason of looking at the charter for it and thinking about how we're operating, because there'll be months where we don't get to the individuals because we're doing this other stuff. So that's basically what we're about. Any questions?
So did you say you're trying to identify ways to sort of separate ongoing service delivery from the,
Yes, that's
what you do? Okay.
Thank you.
Just trying-
And I really, really, really wish we could come up with a title that when people look at it, say, oh, that's what they do. Services is very obvious. Activities is very obvious. Membership, individual member help. No,
But you're pretty clear on what you are working to achieve.
yeah. Okay, that's.
Thank you, Sandy. And who's picking up the activity side? Sharing a little bit.
You know, I have to disagree with you, Sandy, on how clear the different things are: membership, services, and activities. And I think that's probably where we break down, because a lot of what is known as services, some people think as activities, and vice versa. And so, you know, as long as we keep in mind exactly what services are services. The transportation, cleaning someone's home, the yard work,
IT support.
Technology,
thank you, technology.
visits,
I'm sorry,
visits.
visits, exactly. However, some visits could also be looked upon as something social. So, you know, there's that gray area with a lot of the things that we do. But if you can keep in mind that the activities, even though it's not led by someone in the social committee, that it's still an activity and not necessarily a service. And I know for myself, I got kind of hung up on that because, you know, Sandy and Lee, they do walks and they're not part of the social committee. You know, there's, you know, until I had put it on paper and I could actually see what exactly is a service and what exactly is an activity, then I was able to figure out, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing, and that's what they are doing.
And I think it's interesting. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Lee.
No, Lee had her hand up.
Yeah, go ahead.
It seems to me, in my head, it seems clear what a service is something somebody asked for.
Hmm.
And everything else is an activity. Is that accurate or not so much?
I could imagine, in fact, our intent from the beginning has been that a member would ask for, I'd like to go to a casino. So the member could ask that, and yet if we get a group of people to go to the casino.
Then it becomes an activity.
So it could be a thing that you could differentiate by saying, if somebody asked for something and the request is
It's a service request.
service request is written, it is a service. And if it's bigger than that, it's which is kind of.
And a service too would be a need as opposed to, a need, I need to go to the doctor as opposed to, I'd like to go to a casino.
Darcy?
Sorry.
This is what we get hung up on. Sometimes it's semantics, right? And part of it is why do we care, right? As long as we understand that we're supporting the overall mission, we don't need to get all tangled up in the terminology. But the idea, and I just pitched this to you this morning, so you haven't even read it maybe, that, you know, when somebody requests or has an idea for something that's not a specific service as we just outlined, as you just outlined, and they submit it in, and somebody else says, I'm willing to host that, or I'm willing to figure out how to make that happen and kind of take ownership of it, then I think it's great that that person, if we're looking to capture service hours, could get could get that counted, that initial, I'll take that and count that part as a service request to from the organization. And then volunteers need to come in and help support those things to create that activity, to bring it to life, to bring the idea to life. But the service per se is somebody willing to grab it and take it and run with it. To me, an activity is all about how we facilitate bringing our members and volunteers into the space to communicate and to be part of the community. How I
So
think.
let me suggest that I don't like to solve the problem right away. And as an engineer, believe me, I'm right there. I want to set everything else aside and solve. And you're actually like one step ahead of us. This was just a simple report out. And what you've shared is exactly the kind of thing we need for the next step. But I wanted to make sure that we were through with hearing the historical perspective, and then we can jump into how do we want to adjust it for the future.
You want me to take some of the historical, or you want to? So there is a charter for the social committee. And I didn't bring it with me because we've all memorized it.
Yes.
But the fundamental, the bottom line is the social committee exists to create opportunities for our members and volunteers to become part of the community by participating and feeling included and giving them a chance to get out of their own space, wherever that space is, so that we combat the social isolation and we make them feel seen and valued and bring them to other people. And we do that by offering all the different things that we do. I'm not going to report out on it. And I think we do those things well. And that's kind of why this committee existed. So I would leave it at that.
And I guess for history wise, I would just add that where I think we get tangled up is I got tangled up in what kind of words I use to describe this personnel committee. I think social tangles us up very many times because everything we do encompasses a social aspect. So that's why in my pea brain, I went to services and activities because I felt like I could concentrate on that and not get into this. Well, when I'm driving someone, I'm really being very social, or at least they are, and I'm driving, but whatever, you know. So from my point of view, if I think of it as activities, rather than social activities, it helps me. It just helps me. It's not.
I agree with
You
that.
have to do it that way.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Anybody
Alright.
else?
So let's continue on the next step, which is fusion between the terminology. So you were right there. And in the email, it was suggested, and I'm going to put that up as a starting point, but I think I'll add a few words to it in terms of definitions. And I think it's important in order to be able to operate efficiently to create these categorizations. It's not intended to separate, it's intended to kind of make sure that we don't drop the ball and that we do things in a streamlined fashion. So what's suggested here in terms of definitions is services is everything that we offer most by contract, if you will, to our members when they sign up for our membership. And you're correct in terms of this is what we offer. Somebody asks, we've identified what's within limit and what's outside of the limit. Now, the outside of limit is not that we don't do it, but outside of the limit is to require an extra step of vetting it within the organization to see if that's something we want to do, if that's something that fits within our mission, our values, our capabilities. Do we have volunteers for it? So that's where the activities part comes in. Those are the things that the diversity of our membership and volunteers and our members really is an opportunity for creating growth and connection through activity. So everything that's not a defined service that the organization signs up for by being an NNM falls under activity, even if it's brought up by a member that, hey, I want to go to a casino. Okay, well, he or she may not be the only one. So we'll see if there's a champion for that. If there's a volunteer who wants to check it out, we let the social committee know or the activities committee know that, hey, there's an interest. Maybe there's an email that goes out, something like that to make it obviously more available to the rest of the community. And then it becomes a sanctioned thing that we do either once or it becomes a regular, once a month. We're going to arrange for going to the casino, things like that. So the delineation helps us kind of funnel our workflow and identify champions and responsible individuals to make sure that we do them correctly and efficiently. With activities, you will see we will start talking about, well, there's a repeatable process for activities, right? You always have to figure out who's going to lead it. Do we need transportation? Is there a cost involved? There's a certain set of things that doesn't matter what it is, you're going to have to kind of think about. Okay, so we can create a template for that. And there is something like that already, but maybe the team wants to be a little bit more rigorous about it, not to create bureaucracy, but maybe there are some elements that need adjusting. So that's kind of how we set ourselves up for kind of growth, because we want our members to come in and tell us what works for them, right? What's missing, what social connection means to them. So we want to have an entry process into that, and that channel allows us to receive, process, and respond. Okay, that kind of allows us to get into that mode. So that's why I think the definitions are important in helping us route the flow of our work. I'll stop there. I'll let you talk about it, and if this delineation works, or you have challenges in terms of some of the things that you've seen, finding how it would work.
One of the things that I heard from you, Mayor, is that an idea can come from any place or anyone or any part of the organization. The champion for that idea can equally come from wherever. And I think that that's a strength, that we don't say, oh, well, if you want that, you'll have to go talk, it's not that. It's not limiting right at the outset. It's anything is welcome, and anyone who says, I want to do this thing, I'll see how I can make it happen. And then anybody can step up to support that champion.
We have a process for bringing it in, because the person suggesting it may be the champion, or maybe someone who just had a great idea. So, I don't want to do it, but I think I've heard enough, meeting with the members. I noticed that there's this need or there's this desire, and they channel it into the activities committee, and you look at it and somebody picks it up, trying to see if there's broader need for it, or you say, we don't do that, but senior center down the street does. And you make that connection and kind of resolves that. So we don't have to do everything ourselves. We leverage others when appropriate and do the things that are within our scope.
The other thing I think is really nice to see, and perhaps the more champion, is when a member, we're looking at all these different communities, Don and I are, as we think about our next phase. But one of the things that struck me that all of them have in common is they have their community meetings. So for example, the book club that's organic and it grew, and the book club owns the book club. Doesn't need support other than we track the numbers. The Mahjong group, a member is hosting Mahjong now at the start, now it's at Third Place Books, but we've got a Mahjong group that just came up organically, didn't need anything other than making sure we get it on the calendar and the activity. Really simple. We make it hard sometimes. But I think when we can find members, Ginger and her cards, Ginger and her movie club, Lee and the walks. I mean, think about the things that have just come up And I think that's a great way to celebrate the idea of members are part of the community, not just for services, but as part of helping our community define ourselves. And I think if we can communicate that and embrace that and highlight that, maybe we'll see more members. It won't feel that it has to be so complicated. You know, when you say, we've had people say, I have an idea, and you're absolutely right, but I don't want to host it. And it's like, well, if nobody else picks up that ball, it just dies. Because either there's no bandwidth, right? So I think that without even solving the problem, I think there's an opportunity to, and I don't think it fits in the definitions necessarily, but I think there's an opportunity to define a member's role, and a member could be a volunteer as well as a service receiving member, to help us organically grow the kind of things that as an organization, our members want. So it's just a thought to play with as we try to figure out how we grow into this next phase.
I don't consider volunteers members.
Yeah.
They're members who provide services. That's how I consider them. But I think, including them as members just helps include them in the community. And I think that's what differentiates us from other places. In that we have to look at our volunteers that way, that they're also members.
Right. And that is how we talk about them, right? Do you think, or maybe the survey was the other, do you think most volunteers would say I am a member or I am a volunteer? Because when we do the activity worksheets, all of you who do activities, and we ask them to identify, are you a member or volunteer? Someone will say, well, I'm a volunteer, but they're actually a member. They're a service paying member. So we just count, for purposes of the reporting, we count it as a member. So but people are a little confused sometimes about what they're doing.
I'm both. I was just gonna say I'm both, but I was told to always identify as a member, but I kind of feel weird because I feel I don't use the membership part as much as I'm involved. I'm not involved as a member as much as I am as a volunteer. So
I think this is an area that we do struggle with since I've joined a few years ago. And what it's going to take is consistency amongst us, all of us who are some leadership position within the organization and trying to, as members of committees, adopting an accepted language and consistently using it. And in every interaction, you're reinforcing that everybody's a member. There are volunteer members, service receiving members. And we almost, because we don't have one word that defines that, it's going to have to be 3 words: service receiving members. And we're going to have to consistently say that in all of our interactions, because we do want that feeling of belonging for our volunteers and those who receive services.
So services receiving.
Are we bird walking here away from what we were talking about, which was how to make a consistent use of the template when a new idea comes along? And we've been talking about that forever, but just doing that, and it just makes everything really clear and really easy. If there's money involved, if there's transportation involved, just have the template there. And we haven't been consistent with that.
Right.
So it's just a great way to document everything we're doing, and it can be an active and inactive or good ideas, but isn't that kind of what we were heading towards?
Because the upside of doing that, for me, Marty, is that whether it's active or not, you understand like sort of where it came from. And if somebody says, well, I still want to go to the casino, you don't start with a blank piece of paper. You start with what was completed the first time that request came in.
The way to
And also, if you want to look at what's been asked for, and I want to look at what's been asked for, and we can all go to the same place and see if it's a truly new ask or something that we got a little ways on and fetched up against something that's
having it consistent system.
Agree, agree.
Yeah.
I also want to take a second to share a comment from Cindy. I think she was trying not to break the flow. She says there's also volunteers who are not members as they live outside the service area. She gave a couple examples, Sharon, John, and Rita. So that's another nuance that we.
And I think we just, it really isn't, we're saying volunteers, members are people who do volunteering and who receive services. There's a restriction on, if you receive services, you have to be within our catchment area. There's no restriction on a volunteer, where a volunteer lives, they're all members.
I consider a member a community member, and a community member rather than a dues paying member. So we, like Sandy was saying, we want the membership, we want our members to come from everywhere because they find us to be the best place to give their time. Okay, so I would say, is there at least agreement, 95% of coverage of what we do amongst these two definitions? Because there will always be nuances and differences kind of that we may come across, but if this gives us enough to help us go to the next step, where we define service as something that we offer that's part of our organization's mission, and we get organization members pay for these are the services, and then everything outside of what we currently listed as a service is an activity. And
But there is, what do you call it? I mean, they can be both.
Well, there could be elements of both in there.
Yes.
so let me, when you say there could be both, do you mean that if somebody wants to go to an activity, they have to get a ride? So
That's part of, hopefully that's part of the template that
Yes.
says, do they need transportation for this? Yes. But some people would consider that a service. Of course, it's a service, but it's,
but it's still a service.
it's a service.
To support.
Getting the right part,
activity.
getting the right part is the service.
Right.
The activity, the going to casino is the activity.
The gambling part.
Yes.
The fun.
So, but even with that, even with an activity that requires some of our services, there's still fine line between what is a service and what is an activity.
One's an enabling strategy. So if I want to do it, if I want to participate in an activity and I can't get myself there, I put a service request in for a ride. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a supporting activity. If I want to go to the doctor, it's certainly not an activity. It's, I mean, for anybody, I would hope.
Because for an activity, we're talking about there will be a template that you say, I have an idea, we've never done it before. There will be something similar for a service, but a little bit more robust, because a service is going to become a promise. The service is something that we're going to say, this is an offering. With an activity, it might be one time, it may be 2 months in a row, whatever, but it's not an necessarily offering. Okay, the core offering of the organization versus activities that we do, and some may stop, some may not. There's more flexibility based on champions that we have to carry on. If the book club leader stops and somebody doesn't stand up for it, okay, well, that goes into hibernation for a while. But a service can't go into hibernation. We can't say we're not offering transportation. Unless as an organization, the board meets and says, we're not going to do this. We have to let our members know, maybe refund some money, whatever. So there's a distinct difference between service and an activity, and we need to all be on that same page.
And there's no membership dues required to participate in an activity. There may be a fee associated with activity that people bear themselves, or maybe the organization spreads it around. But services, they're either dues paying, or there's a financial commitment of one type or another. And activities, no. We don't restrict anybody from participating in activity unless it's something like the June events, because that's just for the community. We have very few, like Nest and all, they have several opportunities that are for members only. NNN at this point has very few of those. We're pretty much we'll take everybody. It's a recruiting opportunity. It's also a marketing opportunity. Does that make, I mean, it's hopefully fun.
And there's gonna be some gray on almost every one of them that I can think of, but we won't go into right now. But basically just understanding, or do we all think we see what is one and what's the other? I mean, there's times when we look at something and we really will have a bit of problems if we have to define it. But basically, if we know the process to take care of whatever we are, it doesn't really matter that it's a half activity, half
No,
service. But
Maybe as simple as what Marty was saying, that if it's an activity, then there's a sheet that talks about, do we need transportation, do we need whatever. And if it's a service, there's a service request and somebody
Right.
has identified and called and asked for a thing for themselves.
I would love to see an activity service type request process. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Does Carol have anything? I mean, I know we can see Cindy.
Back is to Cindy and Carol, so hopefully you guys are watching if her hand goes up, but Cindy sent me the IM and that was good. Please don't forget to reach out and let us know if you have any comments, questions to add to the conversation. All right, I'm going to submit that we are at 95% coverage with these two elements, and then we will deal with the ad hoc ones that pop up. And as long as there's an agreement between one group or the other, it can't show up in both. One group takes it, and if it's service, they obviously take it with that grain of salt as to does it fit our mission or not. So with that, I think we will go forward with these two as the basics, the basis of delineation of workflow, what goes where. Okay? So then,
I think the next one is pretty much just,
this is what we've been talking about, kind of bringing clarity to services, activities, and just to throw out a suggestion for the third one, it's really everything else is activities and services are the what's, and the third one is the who. So I would say that's just our people team, and the people are volunteers, members, anybody. So you simply we're attending to our people. Yes.
This is just a question because I know we've gotten balled up in this a little bit. So when part of it is communication, improving our communication within the organization of people who are doing activities and services. But when, I'm going to pick on you, Marilyn, just for a second, I actually pick on our volunteers. So when you have an idea for enriching a volunteer experience as what I'm going to say, as an activity, how do you think about that? Help me understand that. And it's kind of like with the member, when you're going to do a more individual volunteer recognition or volunteer support, do you feel that all rests on your shoulders, or is that something that we kind of need to break out a little bit on the who? Who's our target audience when we think about the care and feeding of volunteers, just like Sandy was talking about the care and feeding of the members? I don't know. So I'm curious.
I definitely think that the responsibility lies within the volunteer office. But we're a volunteer organization, so I would welcome anyone who has ideas or wants to lead something. I would welcome them, the support. But I do think that the responsibility lies within the volunteer office.
So what would that
can
look?
we stay with activity? I mean, I go ahead and finish, but I'm hoping we get more to the activities things.
Well, that's within the volunteer support. That's kind of where I'm trying to suss out. So I agree with you in terms of the overall arching responsibility. I'm just trying to say in terms of the support that, and whatever process it needs, when I ask, where do you feel it rests? It would be helpful to better for me at least, to better understand if you if you or anybody has an idea that says this could be great just for the volunteers, not to exclude the members, but just to really make the volunteers feel a bigger part of this organization. How do we think about that? Do we think about, oh, let's reach into activities and define some volunteer specific activities, which we could then start sinking our teeth in, not here, but to say, oh, how can we make that come to life?
Absolutely.
I think it would start with the MVPSC. Alphabetical. And then from there, it could be an activities thing. I would definitely want,
The hour.
The recognition of the need, if I may say, the recognition of the need may generate from you because you're in touch with the daily activities of the volunteers. You hear the rumblings, you think, oh, it's really time to bring them all together. Right? That initial recognition of the need, but the application of what do we do immediately an activity. Right? So you have responsibility for the caring and feeding of but in terms of what do we offer, it gets funneled through the activities team. That's kind of where we want to centralize whatever, because there may be segmentation of the volunteers you want to do, or there's some other things that that's already in work that may not have been brought out, and they say, well, we could marry them together and offer it this way. So I think that centralization of the what we offer goes through the activities team. Yes, go ahead, Carol.
Got to turn the mic back on.
Perfect.
Oh, there's that thing. The charter for the social committee is that we will support for any kind of events and activities. Just like the services department would support with transportation any of the social activities. And so that's where I see if member and volunteer says we need to figure out a way to reward our volunteers, and it's a volunteer only, then it would be the social committee that would then support whatever activity they think that the members would appreciate.
I agree.
Yeah. Nodding in the room.
Another Maryland's
Comment?
sort of. So I feel like there are ways that we would figure out, like we did a survey of volunteers earlier this year to figure out what we thought they would want to see and what we're doing already that they like. So I would hope that it would be a collaboration between the activities, but I think that it would start mainly through our own processes that we have through the volunteer office. And then I would first bring it to the committee. We would discuss it, and then we would bring it to you all. If we would bring it to the activities committee with our own ideas, with the invitation to
How do we make
collaborate or how to make it happen. What do you think about it? Because you're also volunteers, so we're appreciating you all as well. So it would be more of a collaboration.
I agree. And I think that where we've had a gap historically, not just with this, is that communication. There was a survey done of volunteers. What did we learn? I have no idea, which could feed other ideas to say, oh, wow, the volunteers want this, the collaboration. Can we do something together? But if we don't know what was learned, it makes it difficult. If we don't know, and I want to be careful because the social committee is just this thing, right? I hate that term, frankly, but it's a bunch of people. But if we don't talk amongst ourselves and say, here's what we're learning from our volunteers or members, here's what we're going to go and do a walk, and we find out, like, I know this has caused some sorts. We're gonna, we're gonna do a thing and it's gonna be tomorrow. And it's like, well, gee, that's great. Good for you. Did you need any support? Do you want any support? How are we going to let more people know about it? And there's that just in time opportunity, which sounds great when you're in the moment, actually creates a fair amount of back work that makes it either very difficult to create a broader awareness or really think about the idea, like, can we enhance it a little bit? Does anybody have any other ideas that might make that twinkle of a volunteer's eye really sparkle? You know, so I think that those are the collaboration piece. I think you've hit it on the head, and the timeliness of the communication and the methodology for us to share and really come up with ideas jointly to support. I'm going to use the membership, whether it's volunteer, I'm not going to use the free word, but you know, whoever it is. So I think that that's been a stumbling block. And part of it's because we've had a lot of change. Part of it's because we're growing. But also part of it is because we sort of had this is my responsibility, not from a turf standpoint, but geez, I got to hold all this myself, or we got to hold all this ourselves. And we don't necessarily feel like we're supporting the organization that effectively.
Yeah,
You hate to say, oh, that's a good idea to do tomorrow, but how are we gonna keep track of the people that are coming from which county so we get it on the reporting right, or what it?
Or do we have to have insurance, or do we have to have, does anybody going to pay for it, or do we have the venue?
Which,
Is it-
if
all
you're
this
just
stuff.
trying to get a thing going, those are annoying
They
questions. But I feel like they're important to us, especially when we're
Well,
trying
for
to.
the liability of the organization, absolutely.
so that's what our opportunity here today is, actually, is to let, we know, this is good, knowing what's been frustrating, what's been, we don't understand or whatever. And now we have an opportunity to sort of lay out some ground, you know, some processes or some, think through this a bit so we can start getting that clarity and responsibility in the right place, and knowing from the minute you get an idea, if there's a good, you know, a way that we all know what you do with that idea, then, and I think that's an opportunity for us today to get that started.
Could I just get some clarification on, for example, the parades? We went on 2 parades. Should that have been done some other way?
You're asking me? Well, only because I end up doing all the backroom support right now, which is another
You
opportunity.
did what kind of support?
Backroom. Well, the
What is that?
communication. No, look at me like with those big blue eyes. I'm saying that when I get it, and it's like, we better put it on the events calendar. We want to get an e-blast out. The stuff that right now I do mostly, not because it's defaults. And so it makes, to me, having the parade is a great idea. And if it needed no support, but you needed to communicate it to people, because you put it in the volunteer newsletter, which is great. And I thought, oh, maybe we want to get this out put this on the events calendar. Maybe we want to put this in an e-blast. Speaking for myself personally, I kind of find out about it personally, sort of as it's going, and I'm trying to catch up with you. If you want help, and if you don't want help, I don't. So
You still want to know the reporting numbers though.
yeah, I did. Yeah, but you guys know that. And you write up tons of stuff, which is great. I just take your content, put it in there, and it's gone. Ginger, same thing, her movie club. She writes it up. I take it, put it on the calendar. And it doesn't have to be me. I'm just saying that whoever does it, those are kind of the steps to think about. Do we want to make a more awareness across the organization, across the public? Yes or no? If so, that takes a little more lead time. If we want to have more volunteer support, the seminar you're going to put on, you know, it takes a little lead time to get that in place so it can be the most successful. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't know if
It does, and yet I'm thinking, we already had a group,
yeah,
and that's why we did it.
right.
So it's not like we had to say who would like to be part of this.
Totally.
So
But in terms of who owned putting it on the calendar, who owned getting an e-blast out, I'm not saying it was me, but did the group, and this is to Marty's point, the template. These are the steps that whoever wants to do it needs to say, okay, I've covered that, I've covered that, I've covered that, I've covered that. perfect, it's all done, and I don't need any help because I know how to do it. I mean, and that would be the best of all worlds to me, is enough people know how to do these things so that when it comes up, we don't have to stop the process because you already know what needs to get done and it's done. And I think that would be a strong enabling strategy for a lot of activities.
Marilyn,
And I'll just say that before this conversation right now, I was like, I don't really understand, like, there's activities and then there's volunteer, there's service requests. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. There is like, because the parade is, I see it now. It is like an activity. And like the community resource, not every community event that I do is necessarily going to be something that I would invite everybody to do. But like the resource fair, our members might actually benefit from that. So it's a good idea to put it on the calendar. So I'm writing it down. I need to think about things that come up like this in a different way, because I'm just like, yes, I'll do it. I'll recruit volunteers. And like, that's where I am. Like, I need people need to do whatever is being asked. And so that's where my mind goes. And I don't ever stop to think about whether or not, is this an activity or a service request? So like, that's a good, but it's a good, I'm glad this came up because I think I can help on my end and run it by you or whoever puts it out.
So I don't want to offend either one of you because I think what you guys are
I don't
doing.
have to offend you, though.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that it's confusing.
Exactly.
I think if there was a process that everybody knows,
Yeah.
when you have something comes up, this is what you do.
Yeah.
One,
Right.
number one, I don't know, number
Whatever.
one, think about it. Number two, call Darcy, or, I mean, what do you do?
Right.
And we're gonna know, maybe, hopefully we will know, but how do we get that information out to the whole group?
Right.
Like, and this is what you do.
and the more sophisticated we get, by we, I mean the activities committee, you will be able to handle an opportunity that shows up late, not because we thought we didn't engage people early, but we became aware of it and we have a short fuse. So you will have a short fuse process, a fast track process that automatically bypasses, for fast track things, we don't offer transportation, we don't offer this, and it doesn't end up on the newsletter. Those automatically get out. Your normal process is a 2-week process and it ends up on the newsletter, gets on the calendar, ... So then the more sophisticated you get, now you have 2 channels to be able to handle emergency type activity that comes up, or a sophisticated event we want to put on that needs lead time, that needs new volunteers, X, Y, and Z. You see, so that helps us be nimble when we need to be, but also be planful.
Could I just say, just to be geeky about it, when I was supporting IT, we talked about things that were a hot fix and things that you had to
Plan out.
with 300 different groups before you were allowed to turn on a switch or whatever. And everyone, of course, wanted to go the hot fix process because it was way faster, but you missed some stuff that the organization had decided was important. And the danger is to say, well, we are going to have a kind of a quick way to do this, but it's going to require all the crap that we do with the really long lead things. And so I want us to be bright and thoughtful about what we require of the speedy things so that it doesn't slow down our ability to respond to things that come up, like a parade or like a South County fire doing whatever, and I don't know what the good examples are, but I think that there are some.
The organization has to be able to act on flash ideas. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, it's silly not to. We're going to miss chances. And I think if we just say, you know what, we're okay with that. And we're okay with not trying to get more press, more community awareness about it. I think that makes it easier.
Did you get to speak?
Yeah.
2 years ago, you were really, really, really helpful in getting the caroling thing to happen.
Getting the what?
Caroling thing to happen.
Oh.
And this year I'm doing caroling again. So as Carol said, the social committee or whatever you guys are called are supporting this. That means that I don't have to do everything. Am I right?
I would hope.
That's
So
totally right.
is it possible when people like me come up with an idea, and I've come up with lots,
Mhm.
that somebody could be my point person?
Yep.
And somebody could say, I need this and this and this, which is what you did 2 years ago. And that's why I started in August already,
Mhm.
that we can get all these things, all our ducks in a row and actually get some. Because right now I have 1 3/4 people. And
And
that's
that's-
all I have.
Hang on, Carol had a hand up also, and then we'll come back into the room. Carol, you still need to share?
Carol, we lost you.
I'm sorry.
You had your hand up and I noticed that. Did you have something to share?
I'm trying to remember. I think basically the social committee actually has a process of steps that I was trying to organize into a packet. So for any activity. So for example, there was a chat group that started up. And then the host of that chat, there's this surprise. I need to have 3 written articles. One for the newsletter, one for an email blast, and one for the reminder for everyone in that group. So there's all these little pieces. We have signs that you can use, like NNN is meeting here. There's things that this committee already has organized.
I think that's great. Those are the templates that will really grease the process even more. If you can say, we've got the email written up already, you just need to put in the time and date and what the activity is. And you give it to the champion, they take on and roll with it.
So Marilyn, can I just, because the caroling piece, whatever it is, but it's a great example. You need a better way to get people to volunteer. We need to be very specific. We need, but we need we need somebody, and you guys, I know you have a committee, you're working on the caroling thing, but in order for the recruitment of volunteers, because the social committee isn't the actual hands that will do these things. They can enable, and I think we should start talking differently about a committee. I think it's crazy, but an activity that needs support. And we really hope it's going to be a volunteer, and I include a member as a volunteer in that. Then we've got to have a way to get that known that NNN has a need to support this really cool thing we want to do. And we need whatever we need. We need these 3 things, just like we do on a service request. I need to go to Swedish Hospital. I need for the parade, I need 4 walkers, or whatever it is. So I think we can do a better job of saying, so that when the ask goes out, I'm a volunteer. I can see myself doing that. I understand my scope. And I don't think as a committee, the social committee really enabled that process to happen.
I would agree.
So I wanted to answer Cindy's question, which relates to what you're talking about. So Cindy, I just wanted to say that there isn't a volunteer newsletter. We sometimes use that to talk about the open requests email that comes out twice a week. Do you get that email?
It's the weekly.
Sorry,
one,
I had to find my microphone. No, I do not, but I am not a services volunteer, so that's probably as it should be. I probably shouldn't receive that.
I thought all vetted volunteers got that. I didn't. There's is it?
Should,
We can talk about that.
we'll check on it, because if you're a vetted volunteer, you should get that email.
Oh. So
No,
that's
I
what,
don't.
Say she was a bit
so that,
cards.
One conversation, please. One conversation.
Sandy and I will talk about who gets that, because there's always a chance that it goes to junk mail and people don't know to look for it. But there could also be like, maybe the administrative volunteers don't get that, so we can look into that. So, and then I was gonna ask you, when you send emails, not yours, but when you do the email that you do, you call it an e-blast. Does it go to everybody or does it go to members only?
It goes to whoever, it's based on the interest groups, the people's profile. So as long as members and volunteers are filling out their interest profile, if that interest is checked, they're going to get it. There are sometimes, because a couple, I think Allison for the last educational event, or maybe for the book reading, you wanted it to go to the public. And so we have the ability to define it by interest group or send it to everybody, whether they're members or the public at large. So, but most of the stuff that I think we've sent out on activities goes specifically to the people who say, I'm interested in knowing about this. And there's like 100 people frequently on stuff.
I'm gonna just, like, the way that right now I communicate with the volunteers is really only through that open request email that comes out twice a week. And I try to keep it really short because the focus should be on signing up for things. But there is a huge need to figure out how best to communicate with volunteers, because I think we can improve on that a great deal. And that's been in discussion. So, like, maybe not in this meeting, but if anyone's interested in supporting, how can we better communicate with volunteers? Let me know. And I'm actually have like something to add to the volunteer survey with how volunteers prefer to be communicated with and how they want us to reach out to them. So, it's not a question on there right now, but it's one that I want to be added. So just know that the communication right now with volunteers is not great for many things, but especially for recruiting.
But I think that, to like your point on caroling, you have 1 3/4 or 1 1/4 person so far that you can count on. That's a really important thing, especially given the time frame. That should
We have
be,
lots of time. We
yeah,
have many tasks.
Right.
Can I just finish, please?
Just raising my hand.
Hi. I need to not know every little thing that this group needs to make this happen. Because otherwise that means that anybody that comes up with an idea and wants to pull it off needs to know everything that needs to be done. Somebody needs to finish the template that she has started and then say, okay, Eileen, I need this, and this is the time frame within which I need this. And I wrote out my task list before for this particular thing. So if I can go down the list and have enough, I have plenty of time. I have zero help except for 1 3/4. So if we could just have a way for interested volunteers that want to pull something off to say, hi, could you support me?
mhm,
And not go, well, here it is,
right.
take care of it. Because I've thought of a million things and I've done a million things and it gets old.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm trying to go with this is if I ask for support, can I get some support? And I'll dig around and I'll find other volunteers to actually make the phone calls and drive people or whatever I need to do. But I need to be sure of what your requirements are and the timing of it.
That is a collaborative effort.
And also, who do we consider as volunteers? Because there are members
Yeah,
I have currently provide
service
service.
a member that wants to
Yeah,
volunteer.
so let's not forget that as well. It doesn't,
Yeah.
some volunteers are not interested, they only want to do services. That's it.
Maureen, go ahead. And
Yeah,
I'd like to make a comment as well.
I was impressed with Katie's template art, and how she organized the picnic. And I think that would be a really good, what do you call it, template?
Yep.
For caroling, which is a big event, the same kind of to-do list. And then, so if we could take a look at that and create something.
Because that's how you.
Very
that's how you
pragmatic,
do how
like,
many
I need
people.
these
Yeah,
volunteers.
Yeah.
So she had, I need this many people for host, this many people for this,
Mhm.
and then it was like done,
Right.
And you sent me my copy of
Yeah.
exactly that.
yeah. So, that's an idea. Doesn't mean I want to do it.
So so that's,
Have it. I don't have it. Some.
And we have it. It's,
I have.
Okay, so we could look at it and adjust it to work for
Yes.
caroling and other.
I mean, you will also keep tweaking it as new things come up and you find out, you know, probably should ask this question too, because we need to be prepared for it. And we just, the conversation that took place with Marilyn, that feedback loop of an activity needing specific volunteers is an input, because she's gonna go and through her channels say, there's a volunteer activity and we need 3 people who know how to do X. Please let me know in this time frame. So there's that channel that.
That is.
the owner, because our impression from the group is that you, Eileen, still want to be the champion, if you will, of this, so that you're tapping these volunteers, helping them understand their job. And then when the time comes to actually get going, you're still their person. It doesn't mean you have to, but if that's what you want, that's what's important. So if Sandy brings an idea forward, it's just my idea, but I don't want to do it. It's good to know. So we can suss that out. But in a case like the June luncheon or the caroling in this case, it's been really clear that somebody really wanted to be on point, and that actually helps for bigger activities. You can't just
They'll have one person
overarching,
seeing how it goes.
but then that's the
Does that
person.
make that work?
Yeah, and that,
Yes, but also she's saying we also need articles and we also.
But we
need
know
this.
that, but we know
But,
that.
but the person who comes up with the idea doesn't always know.
Right, that's where we can support, that's how we support.
Yeah,
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
If somebody would.
So that, and that is, to Carol's point, that is actually in the process. It's documented. So I think that
But there's nobody attached to it.
well, because
Not yet.
we're still working on getting people to own things, to be honest with you.
I got it.
Because it's got to fall on more shoulders. Okay.
Just to stick with the caroling question, did I hear that the question of, oh, I only have 1 3/4 volunteers, I don't know what to do, should be fed to Marilyn
Yeah.
because she's the person who finds volunteers for stuff.
But Marilyn needs to know what she needs.
so what I would like is for the activity to be in some point of the planning phase where you can say, okay, we're ready to figure out how many volunteers we need. And then can you send out something to try and recruit people for this activity? And we need this number of volunteers. Or also, I'm very happy to attempt to find a point person if it's really difficult.
That would be great. Because I think that's where we might find members.
The volunteers do tell me in their application, modify the application to make this a little more specific. But they do list whether or not they're interested in being on the social committee or on, do something else besides services. So I can reach out to those people as well. And that, this is a whole other thing about how to get those people to the socials committee when they sign up, the social activities committee, when they indicate that they're interested in that.
I think that's
Totally
great.
different thing though.
That's exactly the interactive dynamics that we want to see. What you need, when should it arrive, how it would inform you, how much time, all of this stuff will become part of the template and part of the overall process for being able to more efficiently offer these different activities that come up.
And it could be that we need a volunteer who's gonna grab things and make sure these steps take place for an idea.
Carol's got her hand up.
Oh, Carol, go ahead. Thank you.
I don't know if this helps, but in project management, you can look at 3 different categories of what we're talking about in an activity. There's an event. It's like a one-time deal, or once a year, like lunch. That's an event. Then you have the activities, things like the book club and the walks and the things that are happening monthly. They are kind of set aside. And then you have a project, which is maybe very small, and can slop over into what is called a program because that's recurring. So when you look at how people are going to volunteer, they don't have to be on the social committee. It may be, I just want to volunteer for one small project.
Exactly.
And Marilyn will have her pulse on the community, on the volunteer community, to be able to pinpoint or have a cadre of individuals that she can reach into for that one type event because someone has indicated it somehow. So that's exactly right. Thank you, Carol. See,
I'm sorry, I got one more. I feel like there are people who, if you say, do you want to be on the social committee? They would go, oh God, I do not want to be on some committee that has notes in it, blah, 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 blah. But I really do want to be involved in the social life of this organization. And I don't know if that's what you were saying about wanting to get away from the term social committee is in charge of all the things or whatever, but because
It's amorphous.
I think we would welcome that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to come on Tuesdays and whatever. And it's kind of to your point too, I think, Allison, where, I mean, do we need to meet every month and do the blah, 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 because it's the committee and the committee does the thing? It's not like a financial committee that really does need to kind of look through the ins and outs, and does the bank still tally and blah.
that's the operational side. There needs to be a cadre of individuals that make tweaks that come together and say, do we need to make a tweak to the form? No, we're done. There's still some operational overhead that we have to have. But like you said, not everyone has to join the committee to become someone that can provide their expertise and skills to it. So,
Yeah, you need somebody that's going to oversee to make sure that it's the mission. That's the first thing. So someone has to be in charge of looking at it and say, this is fit our mission. So there needs to be an overseeing, and that's where I think Cindy actually came up with the idea of the social being a steering committee.
Sorry, you got cut off. I didn't hear which committee you said. Say it again, please.
A steering.
Oh, steering. We can call it whatever the team, the small team that's together wants to call it. Their activity, their responsibility is clear, is managing the flow of activities for the organization. They can be a social activity steering team or whatever. We're trying to call all of our teams within the organization as committees. It shouldn't throw anybody off. It's really just a team that got a certain specific mission. Another hand up here. I thought, Sandy.
Oh, I was thinking this has been really good, I think, input into understanding the problem and the concerns and stuff. And maybe we have some time left to start
Fleshing out.
talking about how can we make this how do we operationalize this? What, we're not gonna get into details, but let's just map out, we could map out a bit, like figuring out how we're like back to Marty's template for when a service gets thought up. I mean, activity gets thought up.
I also,
An activity gets thought up, well, this is how it goes, and it's not like we have to do all the steps here, but if we commit to, yes, this is what we need to do, we have to make sure everybody knows, and this is what they do. And then there's several other things that need to be done, but feels like we're at a place where we could start talking about solutions now.
and I would say that, like, while someone who wants to do something, plan an event or do something, so like an activity, doesn't necessarily have to be part of the committee, but they do need to know the committee exists and that there is.
How to get in.
How to get in.
How to channel their need, request, desire into that funnel.
Yeah.
And that's where the kind of what we're working on in the exec committee is identifying key team leads or leaders for the different committees where they become the channel for exactly that, or whether it's financial, whether it's volunteer related, that there's a go-to person that then triggers the process within that committee as an intake of either don't do anything with it or knows what the next steps are.
And I think that there's an opportunity for continuing to create awareness and understanding of some of the things that as an organization, NNN as the organization, really has to think about when we're engaging in activity. And it sounds like Dickie do, but it's serious. It's like, whether it's communication, whether it's insurance, whether it's getting permission to use a facility. I mean, it's stuff that just kind of messes with your mind, but from an organizational exposure standpoint, it's really critical. Now, does every person who wants to host an activity need to know that? No, but some group, somebody needs to understand that those checks and balances have to be in place, because if not, it only has to happen once.
I think that's our responsibility as the leadership of the organization to make sure that we check off exactly on those things. And that keeps our 501c in place, keeps our members safe. I mean, all of that is absolutely. And we want to codify it into those forms to make sure that we don't drop them, we don't forget them. So you're identifying, they become checkmarks. Are there any this? Is there any this? So we look to that committee to exactly have those things figured out. We could take, we actually had a 5-minute stretch in here, but the dialogue was so rich, I didn't want to stop it. So we have about half hour left. If you're feeling that you need to stand up and stretch, feel free to do that. Blood flow, I think we all need that. We don't have to stop the flow, but as a next step, we could try to capture some of the things that have come up several times to give ourselves a starting point for the next steps. Does that sound good?
Yes, please.
Do you want notes on this? I had made some notes on the survey stuff. Do you want them?
So some,
Because I can't drag everything. No,
The happy hour, it's an activity.
it's a question. No, we could have been.
Let's say,
I'm trying to think.
just volunteer.
I guess, Carol, we're taking a 5-minute break, so hopefully you saw that. Yes.
Who's acronym?
Myrtle.
so if we had our process in place, like if we had the time. Yeah.
That's like, that's perfect. I love that.
Yeah. They like to have an activity.
It's the same as,
I wouldn't mind running with,
or,
happy hours.
yes, that's worth money, mister.
Earned
You did.
Happy hour.
Are earning your keep.
Not nice.
Yeah.
To the activities committee.
But once it's established, because I think you inherited, did Danny start happy hour? Or was that you?
I inherited, it was really
We were doing
loose
happy hours
all
long
over.
before you.
It was happening spontaneously and then somebody said, to do that.
How did I get to do this?
I don't-
We
I-
appreciate it, but
It's like fun.
like Katie's role with organization. You've, for now, you get to finding a location, making sure the location knows that we're coming.
That you can just do that.
You know, if- and it's paying
So
some.
we are the steering committee.
No, you're the execution committee.
You're just the person who has an
The rough
idea and you're
word.
willing to support it, okay? So then you need support from activities. You may not want to advertise it. You may not want to do
Yeah,
the calendar.
exactly.
You may not want to find the room.
You may not need any help.
You may just want to say, I want this to happen once a month. Content. You know, whatever.
Okay.
And then social committee have responsibility, activities
The
committee have
details.
responsibility for the details. It could be that way. Or you could say, here's 3 things I want to do. I want to find the room. I want to. And I want to do this, but and the rest of it then would be done by the the activities committee.
If there's a volunteer to support. But right now, we're making that so complicated that doesn't have to
Just
be.
the activities committee part of it.
So I think that's,
Well, I'm thinking it's activities.
Do we
rather than
have,
social.
we don't have,
Go, you want to have an activities committee that when you have an activity, you let them know what your idea is and what you're willing to do for it and what you see as needed.
Of course. And you could say, I just have an idea. I don't want,
That's helpful.
we've heard this a lot. I have an idea, but I don't want to do it. And sometimes if there's no, and that's where Marilyn, I think, will come in. If there's no catcher for that ad, but we all think it's Marilyn and
We
say,
have more
we
feedback.
find a volunteer who might
Some people can't hear very well.
monthly do this.
Yeah, or
And then they could maybe,
So like one of the people that said they couldn't hear is sitting right there.
but if it goes,
So right there. So right
Go into a city council
just
and you have your,
tell everybody to shout.
great idea, but it dies
So that-
sometime.
And our problem is that we have every,
yeah, because of these, but in the
we have some people that have something that's taken it and they do the whole thing.
maybe we should.
You know,
I wonder if
it's just nice to know.
be this far, but it's because of the.
I know, I mean, we can come closer.
Process it.
And they don't own all activities.
our biggest
Will help.
We're just moving a little closer.
Yeah. Look, that's a great idea, but, and that's where I think we as a committee, in not reaching out at the time, to say, we need a volunteer who would be willing to, put together a happy hour at a local restaurant. And just anybody wants to. So then they can say, yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you.
You want some help?
Maybe just take some examples and walk through. We're not really.
Wait. Is, I have all this stuff, but I don't want to have to. Like when you work. I was like. Here, don't tell them.
Process.
So it's.
That would be so,
This is good.
it doesn't allow for too much spontaneity though,
I
like.
know.
Yeah, I don't feel like it is an agenda, notes and reporting. I don't think,
It's just,
I don't think that's the
then
important.
it's like,
Do you want to take some?
the only questions are, do we want
And also,
to
say, you have an idea, not as,
You want it.
in the same way that our lead says, I have many, many good ideas.
Now, granted, that's.
If you feel like that, I would acknowledge that you've been trying. But you know, yeah, and that's my concern, that
This and run with.
an idea comes up and nobody,
Do a digital.
and so it just dies. And so when,
Then we know, oh,
Everyone wants an activity.
it's.
But those are the things you could say, but, yeah, but you could say, there's, we did this a few years.
Just doesn't.
There's a.
So-
This is for.
Is not social committee who wants it.
I'm gonna be there.
It's.
Yeah.
Having it in Esther. Anybody wants to come.
The answer is no, that
Anything else?
still is, okay, not a good idea for us for now.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
But I've never included that as a step in the process.
But.
All right.
Well.
only one there with you.
That actually happens a lot, but it was kind of like, and Don would.
That's not right.
So put the sign away if nobody comes. Just be the two of us and our wives.
Let's come back together.
It's.
It's never that hard, is it?
It's shrunk.
Right?
Grab our seats. We moved you guys a little forward. If all of a sudden you think you are. My site is not changing. My site is not changing.
Easier to hear.
It's hard to hear.
It's really, I am less fearful of you, so I'm not. One of the little running away since, but now things are more, no, just kidding. That's great. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to take one or two or three different examples, and we're just gonna play with them. And I will do my very best while you discuss and talk about what works, what doesn't work. I will try to live create a process flow. A couple of boxes, maybe an arrow or two to kind of show what comes first, what goes next. And then through that, somebody will say, no, that's not it. It's got to be before that, and I'll try to adjust. So be patient with me because I'm gonna do this live. Usually this is done.
Carol can't get back on. He's out there and
Let me see if I need to let her back.
cyberspace.
Let's see where she's at.
While we're thinking about it, what in the participation analysis that I sent around, just something popped out at me more so than before when I did the revise. We are heavily skewed towards Snohomish County in terms of participation and volunteers. And I don't know that that's a problem, but from a question to the organization is, should we be thinking more about how to engage more King County? We got almost an equal distribution of members, but the participation is skewed heavily and
I didn't think we did have an equal,
it is.
I thought it was 38%.
Yeah, we have right around 40% of our
See her.
membership is King County.
So it was such a, I mean, it sort of jumped out at me. It was so dramatic. But is that because Snohomish County people are just more into activities? Or is there something we're missing about the King County cadre of members and maybe volunteers that we just don't know enough about?
We do care because the several of the grants that we have
I
are
know,
dependent on us having blah, blah, blah.
which is why I wanted to ask the question
There
because
she is over there. Whoop, now she's over here.
it's nothing to solve here, but it's kind of a bell ringer for me that if this could become a challenge if we're trying to report how we're supporting King County.
Yes, I think that's a valid point, and what we'll wait for that on is Rick tracks kind of factually based on the grants that we're getting, where we stand with the percentages of both volunteers, how we support them, and he will kind of raise the flag and says, okay, something is changing, we need to adjust. And then
This is new information for Rick then, in terms of activity participation. We haven't been able to suss out, to isolate volunteer participation using the activity monitor because we didn't track it. I can do that now.
okay, so I definitely connect with Rick if this is something new that's come in. I know he's got something brewing that he's gonna talk to us about at the executive council to make sure our percentages are right. So, yeah, please feed it into him and then we'll figure out, and if we need to adjust them, we will. You are the channels. We'll say we need more volunteers from here.
We need more activity. We need more member activity from King. Absolutely. If we're gonna talk about influencing King County, we gotta get more King County participation.
Just went back, because if you look at 2022, it's almost all King County.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, so we will definitely track those. So, Carol is back with us. Yes, perfect. So Carol, you didn't hear me say we're going to transition into a little bit of a live, picking an example or two and try to work it so we can develop the process, at least the draft process for how things would flow. And then obviously it can get tweaked and redone. And I'm going to try to do it live. Yeah, I will stop sharing this part and start to do a new. So you guys can start talking about a specific case,
So how
either an
about,
existing one or a new one that you want to kind of work through your process. And I'll try to catch up.
how about if we pretend we haven't done any volunteer happy hours and that Maryland comes up with the idea, I want to do something for the volunteers on a monthly basis that's just for volunteers only. I'd like to
do something. It's a volunteer. How do I get started?
Yeah, what would be the next step for her or whoever for this specific item? What would she do?
Okay, well,
In an ideal world, not what does she do now, but.
all right. So I just discovered that we have something called an ask, which is, Mayor?
It's a draft. It's something that you have. So you've been talking about a template. So I also worked on a template as a draft. I thought I would share with you because I know there is one, and I call it an ask. activity starter kit. It's a one-page.
Isn't that great? I thought that was really good.
You're welcome to use what you have and tweak it or.
And just call it that.
Share what I have with you, but it has exactly the kinds of things we've been talking about. It has questions and so do you need volunteers? Do you need, do you need money from the organization?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's exactly what we've been discussing.
So I think step one, if you have a good idea, is find the ask, whatever that is, and start looking through it.
Right, so the ask is the template that Carol created. And then we have online that Marty keeps trying to bring us back to,
Yes.
rightly so.
Yes.
So what are we saying? That the next step then is to fill out the ask?
As far as you can, as the initiating idea person, like you may get to a point and go, I have no idea
Yeah.
what an e-blast would do or why I would care about it or whatever. So there probably needs to be a who is on point to help somebody through the ask.
Or if there's like, maybe you could start with, at a minimum, this is the information we need.
Who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Yeah, like when do you want to have it?
Who-
What is
who's
it?
The audience,
Yeah.
you know, is there a budget, and that stuff, that does exist.
And you don't necessarily know it's next Tuesday, but you might know that you want to do it once a month or something like that. So for the parade, like you would know a day off our topic. Sorry.
Okay, so she's got an idea. First thing she does is fill out the online form, the ask.
I can.
So then what's the next step?
It needs to go to, well, the way it's set up now, I just figured this one out. They're coming to me.
Right.
It's because we're using the Club Express survey form.
Just, what's the next step?
The next step is it needs to go into a review queue.
There you go.
How does it go, how does it get to you? Through what?
I don't know.
Email? I don't think we need the details, but it's sort of like, what are the steps we want
Okay.
to do? And then we can fill it,
Tell
figure out.
Darcy. That's it?
Did you say Kill
Yeah.
Darcy?
Tell Darcy.
It goes to, yes, it goes into a centralized intake.
I like review queue. That's
Yeah.
generic enough that people go, oh, because it could be help finish filling out the form, or it could be point somebody to these few places or whatever.
And that
So
review queue goes to you.
and today,
We're talking about
That's
future.
just-
What happens next after something is in a review queue? What happens next?
It's reviewed.
and the questions wouldn't there be? Is more information needed? Is a knowledgeable person needed? Or is it time to find people to help do it?
Okay, but how does, so.
Is that the-
So it gets,
What actually happens? It's in the review queue, then what physically happens next?
well, I could.
What would
taking
you
my-
like to do?
Yeah, because I know what's happening right now. The review queue does a quick assessment of is more information needed? Just to even understand the idea. So I think there's sort of a clarify and verify.
Verify it.
Verify.
Okay, now, the review queue is a thing in which this form has been filled out. So
Right.
what?
Some eyes have to-
Queue is not going to do the verify.
So somebody owns the review queue.
Okay,
So in the review queue, before it can go, in my view, before it can go to, let's make it happen, whoever submitted the idea, frequently there is need for more information. It's like, it's not just, I want to go to a casino, right? Or I want to, whatever. So the review queue kind of says, are the boxes that need to be checked? If not, it needs to go back, hopefully conversationally, but that doesn't always work, to say, we need to better understand what you're doing. Do you need this, and this? And in order for this to happen, and that's the verification process. Then it can come back and say, this is now vetted enough to come in to determine how do you execute.
And I think it's also important to note what on the form, whether or not the person submitting it is willing to do
Take the
it,
lead.
because that will also, I think, affect the way it's reviewed, because they might not,
Yeah, if you have an owner for a
So
committee.
maybe
they might not know all those details. I was just submitting an idea.
Right.
Right, but so now we're back to the process, so
That's right. So
set a review queue that somebody's responsible, entity is responsible for taking the next step, which is what you described. More detail needed, blah, blah, blah. Then what would be the next step?
champion identified.
What?
Identify the owner,
Champion,
identify the
Or
champion.
the owner or the champion. And in this example, you're coming in as the champion, right?
Not necessarily.
Oh.
It would split at that point because if they're an owner,
So for example,
yes.
Lee hears about it and she says, I'd like to be happy. And so she says, I'll take it out, I'll host it or champion it or whatever you want to call it. So
And if there is no champion, then it comes back to, we need a volunteer to champion this. In order for this to have legs, somebody has to be willing to own it, love it.
right.
And in between that, not you, but you has said, okay, we think this is a good idea too, and we want to go forward with it. And so either the person who submitted it will do that, or we need to find someone.
And the person who submitted it, or the person who's the champion, Carolee, says, I'm willing to make this thing successful, but I need this, 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 and this. Go find me this, 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 and this, my team, basically, so I can make this successful.
So who's responsible then? So let's say happy hour, Lee says, I want to do it, but I need people to organize the physical aspects. I need someone to put it in the calendar, someone to send out the reminders. So that's what she wants to do. So what happens next?
Well, then, I'm not sure where this fits on the workflow. So you've got review.
The champion has been identified.
Yeah.
Uh,
Champion then has an opportunity to say, this help, I need this help to do this.
Or I think I've got it. And
Right.
somebody needs to say, yeah, we think you've got it too. Or you need an e-blast person, or you
Right,
need.
you need communication. Does it need communication? It's kind of a yes, no. Do we want to make it more publicly knowable?
That's all gonna be on.
Yeah.
The form is gonna let you know
Yes, right.
of distribution, is it limited, is it broad?
Exactly.
You will have all that information. Once you have the champion identified,
Send it out.
Well, then you got to plan it, because just because a champion's been identified doesn't mean that it's ready to go. So there's
so now it
some
goes into
involved there.
planning.
Planning and recruiting or something.
I think it's resource acquisition, and that could be a library, it could be volunteers, it could be us. I'm just saying that in terms of the process, the form is going to have those little check marks things, but the process then, once you've identified the champion, the idea has been vetted and verified, and the champion's been identified, which means we also know the support that's needed. So then it gets into recruitment of support.
Who's needed, and that's on the form too.
Yes, and so, I think the point is that if you're the champion for caroling, at some point you want to outsource some of the things on the form.
Exactly.
So how does that work?
Well,
That's all in this like gray bubble of planning.
Execution, I mean, once the idea is framed out, a lot of, so much of what we're talking about is so activity specific. There are common things, communication, yes, no, type of communication, information needed. Again, that's kind of on the check mark, but the champion is going to have that information. Allison, I'm going to work with the example that you've got going right now. Allison put together an educational event, and we're going to have a speaker, and she's already done all that work. And so my questions to Al, and she's submitted the form. Got it. Whoa. And so my feedback to Allison was, what support do you need? Or do you want to do it all? And so Allison, well, I'm going to do the press release, but I could use somebody to do the e-blast. She'd already got the room set up. I could get it, it would be great to get it on the event calendar. So she doesn't have to do it all, but she said, I know I want these things because I want the public to know about this.
Right.
And I need somebody to help me set up the room. Whatever you needed. So it's kind of like, but then she was able to say, I'm going to do this. I personally will do this, but I could really use some help. This. What I didn't do is go to Maryland and say, she needs a volunteer to do room setup out and take down, Allison needs a communication person, whatever. So I missed that step because I'm just used to, it's what I do. Shame on me. So I could, but I don't want to slow Allison down because she's already got this thing ready.
That, my concern is that we guard the people that we have that come up with ideas from saying, I have a great idea, I don't have the bandwidth, but it's important that this happen.
Yeah.
So whether it's caroling or an educational or a
Happy
parade
hour.
or what, I don't even
Great.
care what it is.
Yeah.
I just want to be sure that we are getting the support to these idea people
Exactly.
so that we don't have people say, no, that was too hard. I'm going to
But-
put it somewhere else.
But
Sorry. If I can step back a little bit and go back to the annual luncheon. Katie has already said she can't do it next year.
Hmm.
We brought this up at the last meeting and there were several people said, I can help, but I can't lead. But we don't have a leader.
So then it
Wait,
goes.
I thought Rita and Rebecca said they
They
would.
said they would help. They would help. They didn't
Yeah.
want to lead.
So then that goes to Maryland.
So does it,
No, it goes to
Die.
Maryland, doesn't it? To figure out.
That would go to Maryland to say, we need somebody to,
But she's not.
No, not
All she can do is offer you her input, right? I mean, she's not the one that's on the hook to
oh, no,
find.
no, we need help finding, apparently, I thought these guys had figured it out, apparently not. Maryland, then organizationally, if we want to do a June event, we need somebody who says, I will be happy to be the champion for that. We need to commit to that person that they're going to get resources.
There you are.
Where's the review queue there?
I
Is
would-
there on the review queue?
I would also say that I don't think people should just be submitting ideas and thinking that they're important and somebody else is gonna take care of it. I think
Sure.
it's important that we do our best to talk about the idea and try to get support for it and not just like, I know you're not doing this, but for just like, don't just throw it out, and then be like, I can't do it, but this is really important, needs to be done. Like we need the ideas. The ideas are good, but when we also need people to.
We have such a long list of ideas of good things to do.
Sure.
And we have a massive shortage of people who are willing to actually make
Always.
that happen.
And I think we should just assume that if we don't have people to lead, then.
It's not feasible.
Then it's not.
And that gets into, part of that, somewhere in the process, maybe, there needs to be something about, is it feasible? And I don't know where, some of it doesn't fit our mission, but is it feasible if there are no resources that can support it, or there's no champion for it? Then the answer is,
I think there's an exit from almost any decision box that says,
Yeah.
this
Yes,
is
no.
too hard, we don't have people, we don't have the money, or it's not mission centric. It's not happening.
yeah.
So, and I don't think you have to call it in.
Yes, Carol?
Yeah, I don't know if this helps or not, but I was thinking that once people do the form, it goes through and fits the mission and the questions are all answered of, how exactly are you planning this, that we can supply whatever support materials, but not only materials, but if the committee, that's where I was thinking, that the committee, being a steering committee, approves, all these things, puts the materials all together, but what if we can offer that someone on that committee will also mentor
Yes.
whoever wants to be the champion or quote unquote the host? So they're not alone, so that they feel that they really want to do this because they're not alone.
Can I just a question, to the form idea and that not every idea is feasible. Is there an opportunity to simplify the submission form? Because if fill out the ask, which has all the more detailed questions that we really need to make a decision on whether it's feasible. If I'm just a member or volunteer and I got an idea, I don't want to do it, but I've got an idea. It's kind of like a first level intake and it's fairly simple. And then it comes into the ask because the ask can validate whether it's something that we can take on. I'm just thinking that the form that's on the online form right now is kind of a hybrid. And I think it can be daunting. I tried to get Eileen to fill it. It can be daunting if they're being asked to answer all these questions and they don't even know why we're asking the questions. They didn't see the little red asterisk that says, this is mandatory or you can't go past it.
What I'm hearing you say is that you have an intake form
Yeah.
that's, I have an idea, my name is such and such, that.
Yeah.
Then the committee or somebody within the committee will touch base with this individual,
Right.
form in hand,
Fill out the ask.
in hand, and guides them through it.
Exactly.
Or having seen the title of what they're looking for, say, you know, this is outside of our scope, it stops there.
Right.
Or get in and get more information. So your intake form is just a handshake, basically, that then you bring in the full-on ask.
And that gets to Carol's point that now you've got that mentoring piece, because as the person who's talking to the idea generator starts to ask these questions, they help them understand why just the good idea needs to be fleshed out more, but they then start to get a greater understanding of what it actually takes to do this. And maybe we can recruit them. This is Pollyanna. Maybe we can recruit them to help try the first one. You know, maybe it'll become a repeatable event. But yeah, I just think that we have to make it simple for people.
That's a good thought. I agree with you.
So with that,
I think
it's left. Or
I think also that would help them not be so, I think sometimes people are hesitant because they're like, oh, that's too much work.
Yeah.
But if you had somebody there to help you,
Yeah.
it makes it a little less scary. And then once they do it one time and they see.
As long as the mentor stays in the mentor role and doesn't
Yeah.
suddenly discover they've got
The
the
doer.
champion hat. Yeah.
I think you guys have a really good start on a process here, and we're out of time, so there needs to be an action that comes out of here, right? I mean, what is the next step after this meeting?
So, yeah, thank you for that. I think there needs to be the minimum level of structure for the activities committee, where somebody steps up and says, okay, I'm gonna lead the charge of calling the next meeting or the next 6 months worth of meetings until we get to this point. You're not doing for life, but that needs to be in place in order to kind of move this to the next step. And then obviously then whoever is interested in this kind of stuff, we can even put an ask into the volunteer committee saying, hey, we're in the formation of this activities. Maybe they don't want to be, but they're organizationally oriented. They can come in and give some input for 6 months and then release it, to update the charter, whatever it takes. But we need to have, in order for it to get to the next level of them being able to go out to the community, it needs to be fleshed out. Okay, so right now, not being that familiar with the current social activities committee, which we're going to shorten it to activities committee, hopefully. Is there a leader that stands out that's doing that work that will continue to call the next meeting and walk people through the process definition and form update and charter definition work? Anybody that either is here in the room or you guys know will step up? Because Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I just was gonna say, I could do the next couple, but I'm not sure that I'll be available into the holiday season. But I feel pretty strongly that this group of people is the right crowd to be calling bullshit and also saying that sounds too hard, or we can make it easier, or don't forget this thing. I mean, it feels like this is the right group to be doing it.
Certainly the knowledge experts are right here in this room.
You guys have been doing it as well. From what I understand, this is the energy of the organization for this work. So if you're going to say, okay, I've got the next couple of meetings to flesh it out,
I will do that.
and then at the end of the couple of meetings, you find either another champion or it will go into hibernation again and we don't have it. So
Okay.
handoffs need to be clearly identified and someone else steps in for 2 more meetings. That's okay. You get enough momentum that we still start having some progress and products in place where we can say, okay, this is our flow, or okay, this month I will be the queue checker. You can even operate that way as long as you don't have to sign in for life, but committing to the next month, anything comes into the queue, I'll be the first set of eyes on it. I'll call you guys for the next meeting. And then you say, okay, I've done my 1 month. Who's next for the next month? You have that flexibility, but you're going to have to then let us know, us as in the executive committee and the board, that this is who's got the dots this month, so we can coordinate with them. Marilyn can coordinate with that individual, because usually there's one person that sticks around and that they take it on. If that doesn't happen, that's okay. We'll find a way that works. Commitments are shorter, but the communication needs to be tighter. Okay?
I've been gathering documents that were created a couple of years ago that were sent to me. And I was trying to create a handbook that would actually all these processes from what I had. And a lot of it needs to be rewritten, but I can bundle it all together. And whoever is working on the whole committee or whatever, and they can look at it and say, this is what we have already written. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, or we need to rewrite it, change it slightly while we're thinking below.
That's great. That's great. I think the next meeting that C will call, and she will set the agenda working with you guys, obviously looking at what do we currently have. It's a good starting point, so you don't reinvent the wheel on it. You just start tweaking based on the process kind of as you're developing it. We're obviously always available if you want to touch base and say, this is where we are, what do you think? So this is not, but I think it just needs a smaller group to go work and have the dialogue around it and call us back in kind of to show us if there's anything that you need us to help with. We're still, remember the mission statement that we all started with, right? That's all what it's about. So we're all in it together. It's just for work to get moving, we need to have a smaller focused activity going on in different places.
See, what, does everybody in this room need to be part of this, or, because I think that smaller group idea.
No, I think from what I understand, the existing social committee is it a thing?
So I feel like if the existing social committee does it, what's going to be missing is the Maryland piece,
Right.
and the members, whatever the right way to say it.
People, we're referring to people team.
The people team.
It's all of us.
So, and I was thinking, early to mid-September would be the next time that we get together.
Got a date now?
You're welcome to invite
That'd be smart.
your support team, right? The core of the process is yours, the activities team. But if you need input and some point from Maryland, we need you for this meeting because we're going to talk about this piece.
Is there somebody other than you, Marilyn, that you would want to have your voice if you're not
Right now, but
Okay.
maybe in a month or two.
But we have Rita and Rebecca who are not here,
I know,
so include them.
and Katie.
And Katie,
But, yeah,
she's working full
I
time.
know, but I was just saying,
Oh, keep her on.
well, she's doing lunches. I don't know that she can't make these meetings.
Okay. What day is this?
This is
Where'd she go?
Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday.
Go in and I'll be there.
So we will kind of leave it up to C and to pull you guys together. And like we were saying, feel free to reach out to Marilyn. If that, not for every meeting, you may not need to, just the part that you say, you know, this is the touch point identity.
With Marilyn, something awful. She's just been sick of talking to me.
And then,
Because honestly, it's a learning experience for you too, in terms of, oh, I didn't even know these things, because it's learning. What each other need, what people need, and what's out there.
and then you,
September 17 is what I'm looking at.
Works for me.
hang on. And that's what you were looking for?
What are we calling this?
Okay.
SAC?
Yeah.
Or Activities Committee meeting.
I'm out of town.
I am until the 16th, then I'm back. So.
You update your vacation calendar?
I'm going that whole week.
You update your vacation calendar?
Ah!
I did.
See?
So,
What time reserve?
Are you guys
I love you,
changing-
what time?
yeah, I think that what we're doing is we're wrapping up in here. The next
What was it,
meeting has
1
been
o'clock?
identified. C is taking the
Okay.
lead and we'll send the notice.
I
And
will send notice and it will be here at 1 o'clock on the 17th of September, unless I do something different.
Unless I can't get the room.
right, so the logistics we'll leave up to you guys to do. I will just say thank you very much for all the sharing. Thank you for connecting remotely. Appreciate that. Again, let us know if there's any help needed. We're doing the same thing for the people team is gonna need it. My own board governance team needs it. My members identified, I need to pull them together, create the charter. So we're all doing the different parts of the organization because we really need these things humming
They need to
before we
work.
can,
Yeah.
before we can go to the next level, which is, do we expand our boundaries? How do we get more people? That kind of stuff. We need to be more efficient and more process oriented. So thank you very, very much from me.
And thank you,
Thank
Gary,
you.
for leading us, for keeping us in somewhat
Somewhat.
shape. And tech support, a whole hour of tech
Oh
support.
my God, trying to figure it out.
Thank you, guys, very.
Sign off.
Neither of these, so I can find another place.
We'll find another place.
Okay.
Now, Marty, if you don't mind being in charge of that, that'd be great. And if you have any problem, please let me know.
I will.
Yeah,
Is
that
that where
works.
you're going to Richmond Beach?
Let's go to the Shoreline Library
Sure.
at 75th, because it's
Which one?
King County.
Shoreline?
I'll send the process to you kind of as a starting point.
Were you making it in PowerPoint or
It
something?
is PowerPoint, yeah.
I love that.
It's not the best, but that's a quick
Well,
one.
Visio is our friend, of course, so just.
We'll have that in, because they don't include it in the basic package anymore.
Stinks, right?
Separate.
I mean,
Thank you.
project. Sorry, I couldn't help.
It's not the high priority.
I did
It's
have
just
a,
one.
I did have a question.
We drink up. I'm sorry.
Carol.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is this
I worry because it's
replacing
plants.
our
Yeah.
monthly meeting? And we're changing the date from Fridays to Thursdays?
Let me ask, hang on. Carol has a question about, is this replacing the monthly meeting?
What monthly? I thought we took those off the, didn't you take those off the calendar?
Well, she,
Hang on one second, it's being discussed.
I don't know. I think that's a question. Does the group want to meet monthly? Are you talking about
I think she's talking about social group. Social.
the now renamed activities group?
Not officially.
Carol, I can't tell.
Carol, can you hear?
What?
There's so many people all talking at the same time, it's garbled. So the Zoom meetings are all scheduled for the third Friday of every month through the end of the year. I cannot do Thursdays. So that may leave me out.
She is leaving.
altogether.
I think Carol's question is for the Ginger and Marty and Maid and Alice and the what we'll call it, the legacy social committee.
So the current the legacy social committee will let you know if the the third Friday is happening or not.
Yeah, because it could, because what C's doing, I mean, it may not, I think Allison's point earlier, Carol, was unless we have a real purpose for meeting, it sounds like there's a working meeting now to try to suss out, to finish all this work.
I
Yeah,
suggest,
I kind of looked at this as being a replacement for the monthly meeting.
Yeah.
But those were all scheduled and now you're
It should
changing
be.
the date.
once everything, I'll leave it up to the team, obviously, because I don't know what you have currently in work. Because you don't want to drop anything that you're currently doing. If you're meeting and there are things pending, obviously continue that while this refresh is happening. If there's nothing going on, then you could perhaps cancel the existing ones and build in the new ones.
I mean, I just voted, I would vote, my hand would go up to cancel
Tuesday.
the third Friday of the month until we actually have clarification, definition, and action steps for what we will do. And so if we need a monthly meeting.
If you don't have anything pending, then make sure everybody on the team knows that's what you're doing and what's happening. So there are no surprises.
I'm looking to Al, is that fine?
It's fine. Okay, what does that mean?
We're gonna cancel.
Fine.
So Carol, the answer was wipe the third Friday of the month off.
Well, I have no control over
Won't
Zoom
stack
anymore,
anymore.
so somebody else has to do that.
So whoever has the meeting minutes, just send the cancellation.
Friday.
Or we can use that Zoom ID because it's open 24/7.
You going somewhere after this?
I hope so.
Where?
I don't
I
think
thought we were.
I thought, yeah, this is a happy hour opportunity. Anybody who wants to come and drink with me.
What now?
Yeah, where? Decide where would we like to go and debrief? Yes, as in.
Yeah.
Debriefed. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I'm up for
See,
it.
we're not like Terrace. See, where do we go?
Yeah. I don't want these chocolates, really.
Timeout. Yeah, I take them to the office.
Okay. Take them to the office, take them, please. Or if we just go.
Oh, you should have that plastic bag.
Time out.
Time out? Okay.
Time out. Time out.
The street.
Time out.
Oh,
No, here.
my air is on. We're on TV.
Fire,
We're on TV.
beautiful job. Beautiful job, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Oh, you guys made it happen.
I'm not.
Good job. Right.
Allison, thank you for bringing this. We had bigger system stuff here, so that was
Yeah,
helpful.
Library. I'm out.
Going to timeout, right?
Yeah.
Timeout.
Is this tape go?
Over there.
No, I'll let you guys.
Against that.
Freedom to say whatever you
I do
want.
remember, no. Not gonna.
What is this little?
South.
Good, enjoy.
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
I ever going to timeout if you want to,
Enjoy. No, I'm gonna go home.
Time out. Stop at the office.
I'm gonna drink privately, aren't you?
Oh, I gotta see what my daughter's up to.
Oh, how's she doing? How's she?
We have less than 2 weeks before she departs, so it's getting real. I see her a little bit in the panic. Oh, I gotta really pay attention. Am I taking this? Am I not taking?
It's a big step. It's a huge step.
It is, so I'm trying to be helpful over there.
Karen's probably getting a little anxious too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it inside, like I run scenarios like, she's not gonna be here after Monday. What am I?
Nesting,
My son is back, but
still.
still, yeah, he's kind of independent. We don't do much for him. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, all the best.
Welcome.